So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to the last session of the afternoon. My name is Bruno Herring. I work for Aruba. I'm based in France, actually, in the Grenoble Competency Center. I'm responsible for part of the EMEA security headquarters. And this afternoon, I will talk about user and entity behavior analytics, which is a brand new addition of our product line and one of the cutting-edge security product actually on the market. Just a quick remember, Aruba is responsible all the edge, so user, but also entities, so object, edge, responsible to provide connectivity and security. So let's start with an introduction video.
I know. We all know. This used to be easier. Build a perimeter. Keep the bad guys out. Know the threat. Protect the operation. Shut down the computers out at 5. Job done. We are secure. Time for a martini. Good times. But time never stands still. We are in a new age of tech, giving rise to an era of attacks never seen before. It only takes one click, user, device, breach, decision, oversight. Each phone is a threat. Less control in the cloud. Every IoT device is an entry point. A pieced-together puzzle of big data, suit-wearing, finance-backed hackers. You don't send a guy into the ring with this, do you? By the way, Tom from marketing just compromised the network. P.S. Watch out for that vending machine. Hackers are using it to gain access. But hey, the energy drinks are stocked. You're gonna need it. This new age of tech has ushered in the unbelievable. Self-driving cars, drone deliveries, robot hands. So why are we stuck duct taping solutions? We need to know what's on our network. We need to know who our threats are, how they move, how they think, and when they're gonna strike. We need AI to detect patterns so we can respond to attacks when they do happen. Guess what, doomsdayers? The robots are on our side. Welcome to 360 degrees of analytics-driven active cyber protection. From the edge to the core to the cloud. Welcome to the new age. Look who's ready for the next round. Us.
Okay, so basically what is happening is the security, especially the edge security landscape is changing. We used to have a very defined perimeter. We put basically security appliance on this perimeter, but this doesn't work anymore because now everything is mobile. User are mobiles, application are virtualized, and it's difficult to find path between the user and the application to apply security policies. The second problem we face is in the past, we focused a lot in external perimeter protection, so protection from threats coming from outside. But now, successful attacks are coming from the inside of the network. And so this is basically, this is a big challenge because in the past, it was quite easy to protect a couple of entries to the network and to the IT. But now, if your entire internal networks is an access to the application and the IT, you are dealing with thousands of ports to protect. So we need to change the way we do things. The second problem is there is more things connected to the network. In the past, it was only people, but now we expect to have 20 billion objects connecting to the infrastructure in 2020. So it's multiplied by a lot the number of basically connections. The third issue is security teams are under heavy stress. There is two levels of stress. One is the fact that basically they apply SIEM platforms, so security information on event management platforms, and they write rules. The challenge is through the rules, they generate a lot of alerts, and most of the alerts are false positive, and they are generating basically what we call ghost problems. And so they are just finding their way to chase for things that are not relevant, and they don't have the time to investigate the right attacks. The second stress is on the the recruitment of cyber analysts. There is not enough cyber analysts that are trained and available on the market. So the Science Institute basically said that in 2020, we're gonna miss 20 million cyber analysts worldwide. So if you have kids looking for a job, a cyber analyst is a good job. I have kids like that. So as Aruba, as responsible for the edge, there are things we need to do to answer to all these challenges. One, in terms of expanding the number of points that are connected to the network, we need to reduce and manage the attack surface. As I said, the attack surface is potentially huge for all the ports that are wired and wireless LAN ports that are available within your network. So we need to get visibility on who and what is connecting to the network and dynamically manage the access to the infrastructure. Secondly, people also are doing basically targeted attacks. So we need now to analyze behavior within the network, within the IT, to detect these basically shadow attacks, hidden attacks. And third, we need to accelerate the decision making and reactions, especially with GDPR, where basically you have 72 hours to provide all the information to the supervisor authorities. Typically today an attack takes up to 30 days to investigate and get all the forensic information. If you have 72 hours, how you can do it today? You need to change the paradigm. You need to move away from the traditional manual aspect and basically move to machine learning, to artificial intelligence. So with Aruba, we have what we call an overall architecture called the Aruba 360 Secure Fabrics that is addressing these three spots. In terms of everything we do within our network infrastructure, we have a built-in TPM chips, for instance, in our mobility controllers, in our switches. That is a very powerful tools for storing encryption keys, hash keys, credentials, certificates in a safe manner. We have ClearPass, who is responsible to control, get the visibility on who and what is connecting to the network, and control securely the access to this network in a dynamic way. We have Introspect, and that will be my focus of this presentation today, that is looking at these very unknowns, basically, behaviors and attacks. And third, as all of this is fully integrated with APIs, we have more than 120 partners that enables us to consume overall, I would say, security intelligence and adapt dynamically how you can use and consume the network according to this trust that we manage dynamically. So now let's look at UABA. Oops.
Despite huge investments, your security team is overwhelmed, blind to detect and stop attacks inside your organization before the damage is done. An attacker steals an employee's credentials and walks away with sensitive source code. An executive shares her user ID and password with her admin, which leads to an unauthorized access. A sysadmin decides to slowly extract patient records to sell on the dark web. These threats go unnoticed because they are already inside your organization and use legitimate credentials. Therefore, without smarter security, your company may be the next headline. The answer is Aruba Introspect's user and entity behavior analytics, because unlike the competitors, Introspect delivers a smarter security solution. First, Introspect looks at the most comprehensive set of IT data sources. If you're not watching, you aren't protected. Next, Introspect applies hundreds of machine learning models across every dimension of user, host, and application behavior. This generates the most precise, high-priority alerts. Better hit rate equals fewer false positives. Then, Introspect delivers high-fidelity, full-context forensic evidence so your team can act quickly. No more swivel chair investigations. With Introspect's user and entity behavior analytics, your security teams can now accelerate the exposure of threats they were blind to, efficiently prioritize and investigate threats that actually matter, Then, proactively respond before the damage is done. For more information about Aruba Introspect, please visit us online.
So Aruba Introspect is basically based on an acquisition we made last spring of a company called Niara. And actually, for the story, the founders of Niara used to be Aruba employees. So basically, it's a way to come back. And they focus on two problems. One is detecting these attacks that are basically under the radar. And the reason why they're under the radar is because 80% of these attacks are using legitimate credentials. So if you have a valid login and password, traditional, basically, perimeter protection doesn't work. They grant you access to the infrastructure. And so this is the reason why these attacks last for a long time. In average, they last for 142 days. Some of the attacks has been documented and last for 3 years. The second problem, as we said, is how you can you want to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of your SOC team, Security Operations Center. They are under huge pressure, and as it's difficult to recruit, so to add more people, you need to be more efficient. And you need to reduce the level of stress, or the people will leave for another company where they feel basically better equipped and with better tools to deal with all these problems. So UABA is a combination of two technologies. One is machine learning and big data. Obviously, you're going to see we are creating a lot of information, both from the IT side and from the networking side. And so we need to have this big data, scale-out architecture to get all these terabytes of informations and then turn on hundreds of machine learning algorithms to find problems. We are collecting information from variety of dimensions. So we are taking information from server logs. We are taking information from networks. Basically, we are applying deep packet inspections to collect metadata that we collect from the network. So it's much more than flows. We are taking Active Directory and Identity Store logs information, and actually we access the LDAP content. We are taking emails, informations on logs. We are taking also through CASP, your cloud also logs and informations. We are taking the LDLP logs, the web proxy gateways. We can even take the physical, badge logs, for instance, if you want. So all of this basically is going to an analyzer, and we are running two kinds of machine learning. One is supervised. So supervised machine learning has been trained to detect things. So one of the typical algorithms that is used in supervised is the DNS DGA. So if you have a malware or rootkit installed, they will try to connect to a command control server. And to do so, they don't use a fixed IP because then it will be blocked. I mean, you're going to know the IP and we're going to block it. So what they do is they try to resolve an IP address for a DNS query, and they use a pseudo-random generation domain algorithms. And as it is pseudo-random, basically after hundreds, thousands of try, they will find a valid domain. So get resolutions, access to the command and control, and then they get the instruction back. So to detect these pseudo-random domain generation names, we use supervised machine learning. They have been trained to detect this kind of names. On the other side, we are using also unsupervised. And unsupervised are not trained. What they are looking is behavior analytics. So they are using two kinds of baseline. One is historical. And this is what we used to do, for 10 years more in what we call NBA, systems is the same. We look at historical behavior. Typically, it takes between 10 days to 15 days to build the historical baseline. But what is very powerful is we are using the LDAP or Active Directory information to do what we call peering comparison. And so we compare the behavior of the user or the entity, the object, versus his, her, or its peers. So how would you behave versus colleagues in finance, in IT, or as an IP camera, or as a printer? And actually, this is a very powerful tool because it removes a lot of false positive. Usually, historical-based analytics provide a lot of false positive because if you start to do something new, they will ring an alert. They'll say, oh, this is new, this is a problem. Maybe it's not a problem. But when you start to find out that there is something new and nobody else does it in your environment, then potentially there is a problem. So as we are taking information, coming all these different sources, we are able to detect a lot of different, attacks. One of the key use cases I have with my customers is abnormal access to highly valued internal resource, so information or files. It can be CAD files, it can be financial records, it can be source code, and also to prevent and detect against data exfiltrations. But also we can detect ransomware activities, malware activities, and then all the, let's say, account level attacks where people are escalation their privilege, abuse, account abuse, migration of accounts. Also, we talk about the malicious people, but also the negligent one. Some of them may share the password. We can detect that someone shares his password with someone else. We can detect that someone basically has used his password from the wrong place, things like that. So this is all the things. I mean, there is more that, but that's high level what we can do. But as I said, it's not only about detecting problems, but how you provide the right tools to the SOC to be efficient. And our customers are saying that now, to investigate a problem, not only we reduce dramatically the number of false positives, but also they can investigate in a couple of clicks what's going on and get all the forensics information. Whereas in the past, it was taking them in average about 30 hours to investigate. So I propose that I show you the software that's the best. So the way we manage basically threats is through what we call a risk score. So it's not anymore about a full long list of alerts and try to find what's going on. It's about looking at either user, and the user can have multiple AD accounts, they can have multiple devices, like typically you're going to see in trading floors or things like that. It can be a host. Usually a host is a server. Because what we want is to analyze that something there is wrong potentially with a server where you have these assets to protect. And IP will be typically object. You can define, so the level of risk. The level of risk is 0 is minimum, 100 is maximum. So very low risk will be 20, low risk will be 40, medium risk will be 60, high risk will be 80. You can define your own watch list. For instance, you can define your enterprise watch list. You may want to define your executive team watch list because this is the one that will be attacked. Or if you are dealing with in hospital, you can define your iPad device or other device that you want to have under your control. Then you see basically the top entities, top by pure score value. Usually we manage it through score change. So we look at which one changed recently. And you can do the same for your watch list, so looking at your enterprise watch list or looking at your executive or iPad device. If I'm going into Michelle Johnson, that seems to be quite interesting with actually a 100 risk score, which is the maximum. I can basically look at her timeline activities and problems. And everything was correct with a risk of 0 up to that date where we find a problem with an taken from an IOC feed. So we can also take information coming from internet database of well-known IP or domains. And here that was the case. That was for typically a fish tank. We are taking this information and we raise the score to 26. So if we go here, And then what we find is she starts to do this so DNS DGA, so algorithm. So she did 100 different queries, and you see the names, the pseudo-random names that has been generating, and if they have been basically results. So we can detect that, and as I said, this is using supervised machine learning algorithms. So that raised basically the score to 42. Then she tried to do some host scan, and here what we can see, so you can see that she tried to access to 202 hosts, and you have all the list of the hosts. But then you can see that it's written peering baseline. So we compare the host scan versus the other people within the same department, because actually what we find out is Michelle Johnson is in finance. And we can see even at the baseline, so we can see how it compares with the other people in finance and all the other people, how many times they typically access to host. And then she did excessive host fail logons. Obviously, she recognized resource and tried to log on to them. So here, I am using an historical baseline. Basically, she never typically failed to log on. And here she tried to connect to 21 hosts, and I get all the information, what was wrong. Correct username, wrong password, or wrong username, or whatever. Okay. I can investigate the alerts. Okay. I can mark, is it a true positive, so it's correct? Is it a false? Or I can mark as an exception. I can say, okay, this person is okay. I mean, this is part of our jobs to do so. You're going to see that, for instance, we can detect that she's trying to connect to Russia. Maybe it's fine. She never did that in the past, but maybe it's fine. She can do that. So we can put an exception. So we train the algorithms with actual, local information. You can get also all the information, the actual logs information. You can get all the adjacent alerts. You can detect the details on the alerts, and you can get actually even the actual conversations, information. And here, this is quite unique feature we have, is you can do chain alerts. So sometimes an event is fine by itself, but when you start to see this plus this plus this, then it's wrong. And typically, so this is a chain alert that is combining 3 different activities. And the activities are large internal download plus upload to new country and large upload to external network. So then the level of confidence is now 100. We are sure this is an illustration problem. It's not by hazard. By the way, here you can assign within the SOC team who will be responsible to investigate. Usually in the SOC team, people are specialized in the kind of problems, so you can assign to them. You can also automate the process. We have interaction with ServiceNow, so you can generate tickets, and you can automate all this process if you want. I can take action. Obviously, when I am in that stage, I can take actions. So one of the actions we do is we can add the people in the watch list, or I can quarantine actually manually. But also, you're going to see with the integration with our ClearPass, we can also automate actions. I can see, all the details on M. Johnson. I can see all the NAC information, so that's the information coming from ClearPass. So I can see here that, for instance, we asked her to be quarantined on November 29th. And I see when she was connected and active and so on. I can see all the activities. I can see all the countries she connected to, all the applications, all the main protocols she's using, all the ID, success and failure. If she was connected to VPN, I will have the VPN information. I can see all the device she's using doing the attacks. I can see all the application and ports she's using and from which port she's accessing to other ports. and so on. What I can show you is the list of the analytics. So you have 145 analytics in the advanced version. And here I can sort by the type of alerts. So this is all about abnormal account activities, asset access, data usage. And here you can see, I mean, if it's using a baseline, is it historical or peering? And it can be user department information, it can be enterprise-wide. You define actually which peering baseline you want to use. And if you move further down, you're going to find some supervised machine learning for Bitcoin detections, botnet, so DNS DGA, DNS Tor, DGA, DNS tunneling. You know, that's typical detections we use supervised machine learning. Okay, you can also change the severity yourself. You can write rules if you really want, but be careful with that. Rules typically are not so intelligent. Okay, so that was an overview. We can spend hours on that, but that was an overview. So I guess you get a flavor what we can do, what kind of information we get. So what we do is actually we are creating information coming from a lot of IT infrastructure, the identity stores, the infrastructure, so web proxy, gateways, next-gen firewalls, IPS, network infrastructure, logs. We can take information, especially from CASP, for SaaS, for IaaS, or alerts coming from your security platforms, like Black Carbon or FireEye. We can also take all these things through SIEM platforms. Actually, all our customers have a SIEM. So we have deployments with ArcSight, QRadar, Splunk, Logarithms, and McAfee, so Intel now. On the other side, we are creating information coming from the network. So we can deploy a packet processor that is doing packet inspections to extract network metadata. So much more than with flows. You can also use packet brokers to do so if you have Gigamon Axia deployed. And as I said, we can take IOC feeds, so also provide more threat intelligence information coming from a well-known database. And we collect everything in an analyzer. So the analyzer is basically where we have the Hadoop and Spark cluster, and this is where we are running all the machine learning. We have two flavors for introspect. We have the advanced, which is the full-blown, everything is in it, full range of source, full range of use case. So basically the demo I show you. Threat hunting, search, you can search on all the logs, conversation logs, you can get all the information you want. But then we introduce a standard edition because some of the customers don't need all this, and to have also more affordable solutions. And basically we are using a subset of the use case. We are taking information potentially from Aruba mobility controllers with Amon, and don't need to have a packet processor. And we give a bit less information in terms of forensics analysis. So basically less pressure on the analyzer. We can have a smaller analyzer actually to do so. Very advanced, typically we use a scale-out architecture that could be a full rack. Integration in ClearPass is interesting in two ways. Obviously, we can think about ClearPass can give then can get information coming from introspect to manage the trust and change the policies. And obviously ClearPass so then can do whatever you want. And before you blacklist, you can do some new thing. You can do some re-authentication ask. You can do MFA, multi-factor authentication, or you can, bandwidth control. You can do things that are maybe not so radical as quarantine or blacklist. But you can do whatever you want. But what is very interesting is in the context of device and IoTs, some of our customers manage their object through the Active Directory. But if you have many objects, it's impossible to do so. So you need, and I talk about the peering, and the baseline peering comparison is very powerful to minimize the false positive and to really identify, problems. In terms of object, if you are not in VAD, then you need to have a way to profile and to classify the object. And ClearPass is helping us to do so. So detecting the object, get the visibility, profile them, classify them, send the information to introspect. It's an IP camera, it's a thermal sensor, it's a vendor machine, whatever. So typical customer we have, at the end of the day, it's not a question of size. It's a question, do you have information to protect? Do you have intellectual property to protect? It can be you own or you customers. So our customers are in finance, are governmental agencies, our high-tech industry, can be CAD files, but it can be also source code. Healthcare, that's the main use case. One of the first deals we closed in Europe is with a consulting firm, law firms, audit firms, because they have information from their customer and they need to protect. And then there is variety of use case. Some of them have been hurt by ransomware, and so we need to have a way to react quickly, to detect and react quickly to new attacks. Others will be basically have been problem that some information has been stolen by malicious insiders, so we want to be protected from that and so on. So different use case. Everyone has a different problem. So as a summary, what makes us unique is first is the diversity of data source. When you look at the market, you have either people that are only talking about networking information or only using logs. You are unique on the market to be able to collect and aggregate both the networking and the logs information. We provide very strong analytics, and a lot of them, but also forensics information. The solution is self-contained. It's on-premise. We provide hardware and software. Everything is self-contained, but it's also open. If you are an Aruba customer, we can streamline the solution, minimize the cost for you to operate it. But if you're not, that's fine. We put our packet processor, we generate the metadata, and it's fine. Actually, the majority of our customers are not Aruba customers. Last week was RSA in San Francisco, and we were very proud, to receive a prize of the best threat detection technology. We compare with all the big names you may know, and we won. So basically, initially, the Niara was in the US. So initially, we sold in the US. But now we are already starting to sell in EMEA. But that's my job, is to develop all this business in EMEA. And we already have 2 customers in Europe. And we're just starting to sell. I have more than 40 opportunities in my pipeline. And some of them are multi-millions. We can scale. But also, uniquely in the market, we can scale. One of our biggest customers right now is 140,000 entities. And I already made quotation for more than 250,000. So I'm not shy to go for the big problems. So my ask is join the Innovator Club by Aruba. Okay? So any questions? I'd like to thank you. Any question, or was it clear? So don't hesitate to contact your local Aruba team. If you don't know, contact me. You have my contact details, and I will make sure we'll find the right person to talk to you. Or if you are not in the security area, talk to the CISO, to the SOC operation. Basically, we talk to CISO, SOC operation manager, and security architect.